All right, welcome back to the UJ Chevrolet pregame show. Todd Morris with you here on the Bulldog Radio Network, and it's time to sit down with UMS-Wright head football coach Sam Williams for our pregame interview. And Coach, congratulations on the first win for you and the team this season, a 43-14 victory last week over LaFleur, and a couple good drives for the offense there in the first half, but it's always good when the defense can contribute on the scoreboard.
For sure, no doubt. Yeah, it was, that play kind of sparks momentum, and then we had the onside kicks that followed that, and it kind of, I felt like it kind of snowballed away from them pretty quick there because we were playing okay offensively, but sometimes when you make a play like that, kind of one of those unusual off-script plays, it really sparks everybody.
Yeah, because you noticed you had I'm a stat guy, and I keep stats during the game. And we had 7 drives in the first half last week, 7 drives. That's not even counting the penalties. They had 15 penalties, so it was like stop and start every 10 seconds. It was just it seemed like we couldn't get the consistency going. And it wasn't all our fault all the time. It just seemed like boom, and then all of a sudden we get that 40-yard interception return for a touchdown, and bam, everything just kind of clicked.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like rhythm's a big thing for us offensively, and it's kind of when you got a game script like that, it does get kind of tough. Like I tell them, I'll try to get the guys up on the bench like in between series when it's kind of slow, 'cause you got penalties and things like that. But I thought they did a good job of kind of settling into the game. They got to learn how to do that. We got to start a little faster, but you could definitely see that once they kind of started clicking, we were in good shape.
We had 2 successful 2-point conversions last week. Mm-hmm. What made you decide to implement that this early in the season at that point in the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think when we started working that this spring and into the summer, I think that's just another thing that people have to prepare for. It's not like people would say it's gimmicky. It's like swinging gate, but it's kind of one of those momentum things too. If you go on a 10-12 play drive and the defense is gashed, you can always do that. You know what I mean? So Coach Wallace does a great job of teaching PAT and kind of making that a little bit of a weapon for us when we need to try to steal points. So I was glad to see it work in live action.
I'm sure Perry Hand was also.
Yeah, he enjoys it. Yeah, get a little scoring. So,
you could use that and put a couple of the big boys back there now and then. Let them try to score. All right, so we've run 110 offensive plays in 2 games. My easy math tells me that we're averaging 55 plays a game. What's your goal from that standpoint? How many plays are you looking to get in the game offensively?
Yeah, I mean, if we can cut out, we've had 4 and 3 and outs in the last 2 games respectively. So if we cut those out, you're looking at 65 is probably a good number. I used to say 70, but 65 is a comfortable number. 60 to 65 plays, and we're close right now. And I think a lot of that. As the season goes on, we may trend a little higher. We have. I don't know that we'll make a ton of 60, 70-yard touchdowns just based off speed and things like that. But you got to try to find ways to generate some explosives here and there. And we've missed a couple early on in the year that I think we'll hit later. But 60 to 65 is kind of your number where you're trying to get to.
And 3 and outs are still your biggest stat on offense.
Yeah, I mean that's what you have to look at because it's all about productivity and consistency when it comes to offensive football and execution. And so a lot of the 3 and outs right now is really just bad first downs and then poor execution on second and third. I'm not saying that people don't ever do a good job because they do sometimes. Right. Sometimes you just get stopped, but we've kind of made some changes philosophically this week on first down to try to get us started a little better, and we'll see if that helps.
So let's talk a little bit about from a player standpoint. Max Fowler, the quarterback, is now 38 of 55 on the season for 377 yards, 3 touchdowns. But I think the biggest stat, 2 games in and no interceptions.
Yeah, it's huge. And, I think, people joke around about Richard catching a lot of balls, but you know why he catches a lot of balls? Because the quarterback's not forcing it to people that aren't open. And so he's really I think I joked with you. I was telling you on Tuesday of this week, he went 32 of 33 in practice. He just has a good understanding of what we're trying to do right now, and he's not forcing the ball. And when you don't force the ball, you have a 0 in the interception column. There's times in games where you've got to force it and you got to go for it a little more, and maybe you throw one. It's not about throwing 0 interceptions. It's going to happen. Sometimes you can make a mistake, you have a tip ball, but it is about not throwing the careless ones that you can avoid by going through your progressions and getting to the guys that are open.
Well, you mentioned Richard Scott, the running back. He's our all-purpose yardage leader right now, leads the team in rushing yards with 126 and receiving yards with 146. Is that the game plan? Is that kind of the feature, or is that's just, as you say, the evolution of the offense?
Yeah, I was really high on Richard coming into the year, and I felt like for us to be what we need to be, he had to really have a good year, and he started off hot. I think he's in really good shape. I think game script over the next couple of weeks and personnel is really going to dictate whether he runs the ball more, catches more. But I mean, I'm comfortable where he's at. You know, I've always said a good running back's one that you don't always have to hand the ball to him to let him be productive. Sometimes you can check it down, get him outside the box, not make him take all those big heavy hits, and that's kind of what we've done with Richard. Is, you know, he's had just as much production, you know, outside the tackles as he has inside.
Defensively last week, without Kaplan Reed and really our quarterback on defense injury wise, but took us a little while to figure out contain last week. That we knew going into the game that LaFleur was athletic, and they proved that they could get out and run.
Right.
And the defense had to adjust to that. And what were your thoughts on that as the game progressed last week?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we did a good job of when he did break contain, running to the football. You know, you see that. You see 11 guys pursuing the football, and, you know, that's what covers up for that. Because we knew that there was going to be some times that just athletically he could get outside, you know, reversing field, things like that. So I thought we did a good job. I thought we had a really good game plan. I was proud of the kids. You know, it's really easy when you have a key guy like Kaplan down to make excuses, and I don't think anybody made an excuse. Guys, you know, played a different position, rolled in there, and I thought we were ultra productive on defense. Not just in the, you know, they jumped off sides, but they don't jump off sides without us being clean on our line shifts, you know, consistently. That wasn't by accident. So I thought we did a really good job of just executing our game plan on that side of the ball, really doing something different than we did the first week. And, you know, if you didn't know it, it was pretty seamless.
Yeah. So here we are, looking to go 2-0 this week against BC Rain, a team that's going to come to Cooper Stadium 2-0 in the year. They're got to feel pretty confident where they're playing right now. Give us your thoughts on BC Rain.
Yeah, I mean, they should be. I mean, I think there's an art to finding a way to win. And, you know, they won convincingly against Hillcrest, and then turned around in week 2 and had to find a way to win. They battled back against Foley. Foley kind of had them dead to rights, and they didn't go away quietly. So got some dynamic kids, as you can imagine. Got a really good quarterback, dangerous receiver, a couple backs that we know can play, and then on the defensive side of the ball, they're really sound. You know, they that's one thing that I noticed. They don't make a whole lot of mistakes, and so they really keep the ball in front of them. They don't give up a ton of explosive plays, and you got to go out there and out execute them and beat them. So I think the kicking game is where, you know, I look at we got to really be strong this week. I think we've got a great plan in that phase, and so I mean, it's going to be an interesting game because when I looked at the season, I told people I don't know any of these teams, right? So I'm just watching, and this was kind of that game where I said that's one of the biggest games on the schedule. If you get the LaFleur game, now you're looking at going 2-0 in the region against a team that, you know, hey, you could flip a coin on one night or the other. You make a couple big plays, it may go either way. So we got to go out and we got to play clean football. We got to build on what we did last week and find a way.
So assuming Kaplan's still not going to play this week, any other injuries that we're looking at?
Yeah, nothing major. You know, it's that time of year. It'll be every week where we got just guys banged up. Maybe you try to limit a guy here or there, but yeah, Kaplan will be, you know, still just week to week. Trying to, you know, be smart with him and make sure when he gets back, we're putting him in good shape to finish the year off with us. And so we just got to keep finding a way on that side, you know, with different personnel. And like I said, those guys, I was so proud of them for stepping up last week, and know they will again this week.
They did. All right, Coach, thanks for joining us on the pregame show. We look forward to hearing from you each and every week, and good luck tonight.
Appreciate it, Todd.
All right. Stick around. We'll be back in just a minute with more of the UJ Chevrolet pregame show right here on the Bulldog Radio Network. Sports Talk, 99.5 Mobile, an iHeart radio station.